It was a single private message. 7 words typed by a stranger who thought he was anonymous. Race traitor. Disgusting. You'll get what's coming to you. He thought he was untouchable. He thought the internet protected him. He was wrong. Before this story begins, understand something. This isn't about revenge for revenge's sake. This is about consequences. So if you believe words matter, if you believe hate should cost something, hit like, subscribe, and stay with me, because this one goes all the way. I didn't wake up that day looking for a fight. I didn't log into Reddit planning to ruin someone's life. I was just scrolling. Killing time. Being human. On a different account than the one I use now, I commented on a thread about relationships. Nothing political. Nothing inflammatory. I mentioned, casually, almost in passing, that I was in an interracial relationship. That was it. One sentence. One truth. A few hours later, my inbox notification lit up. New message. At first, I assumed it was a question. Maybe curiosity. Maybe support. Reddit can surprise you sometimes. I opened it. You're a race traitor. People like you are the reason everything is falling apart. I stared at the screen, confused. Scrolled. Read it again. He went on. Paragraphs. Rants. Claims about bloodlines, loyalty, betrayal. He accused me of being unfaithful to my race, like I'd violated some invisible contract written by people who never mattered to me. I remember actually laughing once. A short, disbelieving breath through my nose. What the hell, bro? I muttered out loud to an empty room. But the laughter didn't last. Because something about the message stuck to me. Not fear. Not even anger. Disrespect. The kind that assumes you're weak. The kind that assumes you'll read it, feel small, maybe type a reply, and then move on. I didn't reply. Instead, I clicked his username. 6 years old. That detail mattered more than most people realize. A 6-year-old Reddit account isn't a burner. It's not some kid testing boundaries. It's history. Habits. Patterns. A digital footprint built over time. People reuse usernames. They reuse emails. They reuse identities. And suddenly, curiosity replaced irritation. I scrolled through his post history slowly. Methodically. Like you would flip through a file folder. City subreddits. Sports threads. Long comments about football, specifically the NFL. Mentions of going to games. Tailgates. Seasons. In one comment, almost throwaway, he mentioned being born in Canada. In another, he talked about moving here years ago, and how much he loved the city. City. Team. Background. I leaned back in my chair. Okay, I said quietly. Let's see who you really are. I opened a new tab. And I did something simple. I Googled his username. Then his username with @Gmail. Then at Yahoo. Then at Hotmail. Most searches return nothing. Dead ends. Random forum posts. But this time. A hit. Not Reddit. Not Twitter. An online classified post. NFL tickets for sale. The email address matched the username almost perfectly. Same structure. Same rhythm. The kind of handle someone keeps for years. The post mentioned the same city. The same NFL team. My pulse picked up, not from excitement, but from recognition. This could be coincidence, I told myself. People like football everywhere. But coincidence doesn't stack neatly. I clicked deeper. The email address led to a name. Let's call him Jeff. Jeff wasn't hiding. Another search. Then another. And suddenly, there it was. A company website. Professional headshot. Neutral smile. Arms crossed. Confident posture. Senior level manager. His biography read like it was written by a PR team. Polished. Clean. Mentions of leadership. Team building. Corporate values. Born in Canada. Lives in the same city. Lifelong fan of the same NFL team. I didn't smile. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt something colder. Because now I wasn't dealing with an anonymous troll. I was dealing with a man who had power. Power to hire. Power to fire. Power to decide who belonged and who didn't. And according to his own employer, he worked for an equal opportunity organization. I found his LinkedIn next. 500 plus connections. Public posts. Corporate optimism. Networking jargon. The digital mask of professionalism. I sent a connection request. He accepted it within a day. Of course he did. Men like him never think they're in danger. They think they're the danger. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was afraid. But because the weight of it all pressed down on me. The hypocrisy. The arrogance. The ease with which someone could spew hate in private while presenting themselves as a leader in public. I kept thinking about the people under him. The resumes he reviewed. The candidates he dismissed. I opened his Facebook page next. Public. Very public. Memes. Comments. Jokes that weren't jokes at all. Not subtle. Not hidden. And his Reddit account. That was worse. That was where the mask came off completely. I sat there, alone, screenshots piling up in a folder on my desktop, feeling something shift inside me. This wasn't about me anymore. This was about accountability. And for the first time since that message landed in my inbox, I felt calm. Because I wasn't powerless. I was patient. And I had time. I didn't confront him. I didn't warn him. I didn't threaten him. Instead, I started building something. A file. A record. A quiet, careful case. And the moment I decided to make it real was the moment his life started falling apart. The folder on my desktop didn't have a dramatic name. No revenge. No justice. Just a neutral label. Something boring enough that if anyone ever glanced at my screen, it wouldn't mean anything. Inside it, though, was the truth. Screenshots from Reddit. Time-stamped comments. Archived posts. Facebook images saved locally in case they disappeared. Links copied into a document with notes beside them. I wasn't rushing. That was the most important part. People think revenge is explosive. Emotional. Loud. They're wrong. The most effective kind is quiet. I treated it like an investigation, not because I thought I was a hero, but because I understood one thing very clearly: if I made a mistake, if I accused the wrong person, if I acted impulsively, I would become the villain. And I wasn't going to hand him that. So I double-checked everything. Username to email handle. Email handle to ticket post. Ticket post to city. City to subreddit activity. Subreddit posts to NFL fandom. NFL fandom to Facebook photos. Facebook to LinkedIn bio. LinkedIn bio to company website. Each connection alone meant nothing. Together, they painted a single, unmistakable picture. Same man. Same voice. Same hate. I remember pausing at one point, hands hovering over the keyboard, asking myself the question everyone asks when they're standing at the edge of something irreversible. Is this worth it? I thought about just blocking him. Reporting the message. Moving on with my life. That would have been easier. But then I reread his words. Race traitor. Disgusting. You'll get what's coming to you. And suddenly it wasn't about comfort anymore. It was about precedent. Because men like Jeff don't stop at one message. They escalate. They normalize their own behavior by facing no resistance. And the worst part? They do it while wearing suits. Holding meetings. Making decisions about other people's futures. I imagined someone like my partner applying to his company. Or someone who looked like them. Or someone whose name gave them away before their resume ever got a chance. That thought sat heavy in my chest. So I kept going. I wrote a summary document, calm, professional, factual. No insults. No emotion. Just observations. Here is a Reddit account associated with the following username. Here are statements made publicly. Here are statements made privately. Here is how these views conflict with publicly stated company values. I included screenshots with URLs. Dates. Context. It wasn't a rant. It was a report. When I finally finished, I stared at it for a long time. There's a moment before you cross a line where everything feels very still. Like the world is holding its breath. That's where I was. Then I picked up my phone. Finding the company's HR number took less than 5 minutes. Large organization. Public facing. No secrecy. My thumb hovered over the call button. I exhaled. And pressed it. The phone rang twice. Human resources, this is. I interrupted gently, politely. Hi, I have a question. Hypothetically, would your organization be concerned if a senior-level manager was publicly and privately engaging in racist behavior that contradicts your equal opportunity employment policies? Silence. Not the awkward kind. The alert kind. Yes, she said carefully. That would be concerning. I nodded even though she couldn't see me. I thought so, I replied. Because I've conducted an investigation into one of your senior managers, and I've documented everything. I can email it to you. Another pause. Then, please do. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't sound angry. I sounded responsible. When I hung up, my hands were steady. That surprised me. I emailed the report. And then I waited. That was the hardest part. Days passed. Nothing. A week. 2 weeks. I checked LinkedIn more often than I wanted to admit. His profile stayed the same. Job title intact. Corporate posts untouched. At night, doubt crept in. What if nothing happens? What if they protect him? What if I just poked a hornet's nest for no reason? I imagined him laughing. Deleting a few posts. Going on with his life. Meanwhile, I was the one lying awake, replaying everything, wondering if I'd done the right thing. A month passed. I called HR again, not demanding, not accusatory. Just checking in. They thanked me again. Told me they appreciated the information. Explained they couldn't comment on internal decisions or outcomes. Translation, we won't tell you anything. I accepted that. Hung up. And told myself it was over. I stopped checking LinkedIn every day. Reduced it to once a week. Just curiosity. Just closure. Then one morning, coffee in hand, half awake, I clicked his profile. And my stomach dropped. His job title was gone. Not updated. Not changed. Gone. Instead, there was a post. I'm currently seeking new opportunities. Open to conversations. Please reach out if you know of anything. I stared at the screen. Read it again. Then again. The room felt very quiet. No fireworks. No victory music. Just a slow, spreading realization. They believed me. I sat down heavily. A strange mix of emotions washed over me, not joy, not triumph, but something like vindication. The system didn't ignore it. They didn't bury it. They acted. I could have stopped there. I should have stopped there. But something inside me wanted him to know. Just a little. So I messaged him on Reddit. One sentence. Calm. Casual. Hey bro, heard you got fired. Just wanted you to know I'm the reason why. I didn't expect a reply. What I got instead changed everything. His response wasn't denial. It wasn't apology. It wasn't even shock. It was rage. Pure, unfiltered, violent rage. And what he said next gave me everything I needed to finish this. The reply came fast. Too fast. Like he'd been staring at his inbox, refreshing, spiraling, waiting for something, anything, to lash out at. When I opened the message, my body reacted before my mind did. My shoulders tensed. My jaw locked. Not because I was scared. Because I recognized the tone. It wasn't panic. It was entitlement shattering. He didn't ask how. He didn't ask why. He didn't question whether it was true. He believed me instantly. That alone told me everything. Then I read the words. He told me he would find me. He described what he would do to my spouse. He promised violence. Rape. Murder. Not hinted. Not implied. Written out. I remember my hands going cold. Not trembling, cold. Like blood had been replaced with ice. This wasn't a man who'd learned anything. This wasn't a man who felt remorse. This was a man who felt wronged. I closed my eyes for a moment and breathed. Slowly. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. Because this was the moment that separated reaction from control. I could have fired back. Mocked him. Pushed harder. But I didn't. Instead, I did two things. First, I reported the message to Reddit admins. Not with commentary. Not with editorializing. Just the facts. Threats of rape. Threats of murder. Clear violations. Second, I saved it. Screenshots. Full message. Username. Timestamp. And I dropped it into the folder. The same folder he never knew existed. The ban came quickly. Permanent. His account vanished. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No relief. Just clarity. Because the moment he sent that message, he gave me something far more valuable than anger. He gave me proof. I added the message to the original report. Then I stopped. For a while. Weeks passed. I didn't poke. I didn't message. I didn't escalate. I watched. Once a week, like clockwork, I checked LinkedIn. I wanted to see if he'd learned. If he'd disappeared. If he'd gone quiet. Instead, I saw desperation. Posts about networking. Comments under other people's updates. Generic motivational quotes shared like life preservers. Men like Jeff believe they're victims when consequences arrive. They don't reflect. They don't change. They look for another platform. Another audience. Another place where they can pretend nothing happened. And eventually. There it was. A new job. Different company. Similar level. Still management. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. I didn't feel excited. I felt tired. But also, resolved. Because now I had a choice. Let it go. Or finish it. I opened his new company's website. Scrolled. Found their values page. Inclusion. Diversity. Respect. Every company writes the same words. But words only matter when they're tested. I found their HR contact. This time, when I called, a woman answered. Her voice was calm. Professional. I asked the same question. Hypothetically, would your organization be concerned if a newly hired senior manager had a documented history of racist behavior and violent online threats? Her answer came without hesitation. Yes. Very concerned. I didn't dramatize. I didn't embellish. I told her I had documentation. I explained it had already resulted in termination from a previous employer. I mentioned threats. She listened. Really listened. I could hear it in the way her breathing changed. In the pauses where she was clearly taking notes. She asked me to email everything. I did. The updated report. With the new message. With the ban. With the pattern. When I hit send, I felt something shift. Not adrenaline. Not revenge. Closure. After that, I stopped checking daily. I gave it space. Time passed. Then one afternoon, curiosity pulled me back. I searched his name. Nothing. LinkedIn. Gone. Facebook. Locked down. Reddit. Erased. I went to the new company's website. Senior management listed. I scanned the names slowly. Once. Twice. He wasn't there. I sat quietly for a long time after that. No smile. No celebration. Just the hum of my computer and the sound of my own breathing. Because the truth is, I didn't destroy his life. He did. I just made sure the truth caught up with him. I could have gone after him again. I had the tools. I had the patience. But this time, he disappeared. And sometimes, the most satisfying ending is knowing someone finally understands what it costs to be cruel. After his digital footprint vanished, something unexpected happened. Silence. No new threats. No anonymous messages. No attempts to provoke me. Just absence. At first, I thought it was temporary. A cooling off period. Damage control. I assumed he'd resurface under a new name, a new account, a new mask. But weeks turned into months. Nothing. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't strategy. This was fear. For the first time in his life, Jeff had learned something men like him rarely do. That anonymity is fragile. That words have weight. That the internet remembers. I replayed everything in my mind, not obsessively, but reflectively. The first message. The entitlement. The certainty that he could degrade someone with no consequences. And then I thought about the moment his certainty cracked. Not when he was reported. Not when HR was contacted. But when he realized someone had seen him clearly. When the persona collapsed. When his private self and public self collided. That's the moment people don't forget. I didn't feel guilt. Because I hadn't lied. I hadn't exaggerated. I hadn't manufactured anything. Every screenshot was his. Every word was his. All I did was hold up a mirror. And mirrors don't destroy people. They reveal them. I sometimes wonder what his resume looks like now. How he explains two sudden departures. How he answers the question, why did you leave your last role? Does he deflect? Blame corporate politics? Claim restructuring? Or does he finally understand that the internet isn't a separate world? That your character doesn't turn off when you close a browser tab? I'll never know. And I don't need to. Because the real ending wasn't his disappearance. It was my peace. I didn't carry his hate anymore. I didn't replay his words at night. I didn't feel that quiet, corrosive anger in my chest. Instead, I felt steady. Grounded. I went back to my life. My relationship. My world. And every once in a while, when I think about that first message, I don't feel anger anymore. I feel clarity. Because here's the truth most people never learn. Revenge doesn't have to be loud. Justice doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes, the most devastating response is letting someone face the consequences of exactly who they chose to be. If there's one thing I want people to take from this, it's this. You don't have to accept hate just because it's delivered through a screen. You don't have to stay silent to be the bigger person. And you don't have to ruin yourself to hold someone accountable. I didn't hunt him. I didn't threaten him. I didn't become him. I documented. I reported. I waited. And in the end, the system he thought protected him didn't. If this story made you feel something, anger, satisfaction, relief, leave a comment and tell me what you would have done. And if you believe that accountability is the most powerful form of revenge, subscribe for more stories where karma doesn't miss. Because somewhere out there, someone is typing something they'll regret. And someday, the truth will find them.